All right, we are live once again. Welcome to a new episode, another edition of The Real Deal. I am your host, as always, Courtney Harden. Glad to be back with a new episode. Got a slew of guests today. Great guests. I call these guys family because they've been on the show many times and everything. My podcast partners, super fans. We call each other and everything too. So before we get started, before I introduce my guests, thank you for everyone that's tuning in. We're live on Facebook, live on BS3 TV, Roku TV. So if you want to get on Roku and look and watch all of our shows on Roku, just type in BS3 TV. Search for that, and then you'll have all of our shows on the BS3 Network, bs3network.com, Roku, and we're all over YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, everything you can get. So BS3 Network. So shout out to the entire BS3 Network. We got a slew of shows, a lot of great hosts, a lot of great shows. You can find, like I said, on all social media platforms, on all podcast platforms, Spotify, Google Play. Everywhere you can find, podcasts, you can just get all of our content. We talk sports, we talk political stuff, we got spiritual, movie reviews. We talk a little bit of everything, social things, a lot of different things. So shows every day. So check it out. Check out the network as well. Again, Roku TV. So we're glad to be on Roku. You can follow me on at Get the Real Deal. That's where the show. You can also follow me on Twitter at Courtney110979, CJ Harden79, Instagram, Get the Real Deal on Facebook. Just type in Get the Real Deal on Google. You can find all the shows there. So, but without further ado, since all the introductions are finished, I want to welcome my guest onto the show. I got the dynamic duo of Rave on Sports app, James Clark and Brittany Harris. Thank you for coming on the show.
Hi.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having us again.
Great to be back on. Yeah.
This is I think the third or fourth time we've been on the show.
Yes.
I think we had you guys on the show. So I said it was only right that I get you guys back on the show before the holidays. So how have you guys been? How's your holidays been so far?
Good. It's been good. It's been crazy. So especially me and Courtney were talking a little bit about it. I'm definitely behind on my holiday shopping, but when you have a lot of kids and they don't want to give you their lists, it takes forever. So, but I had a good holiday.
Yeah, mine's been pretty good, pretty laid back as far as everything goes. Lots of sports action kicking up. So we've been really busy.
Definitely. Yeah,
always a good kind of busy.
Yeah, same here. It's been busy. Me and Brittany was talking before we started about Christmas shopping and things like that. I'm actually finished with just about all the nieces, nephews, and kids, and just got to get the older nieces and nephews, and then my wife. So I'm completely done. So I'm glad this is the first time this holiday I'm actually can sit back and say, you know what, we're actually finished. So I already know what my wife wants, so I already know I'm getting her. So it's always good to be in that type of in that driver's seat.
Yeah, to be ahead.
Yes, definitely. So, but again, thank you guys for coming on. I really appreciate you guys and all you guys do and everything. So let everyone know a little bit about Rave on Sports app. For all the ones that don't know, and to the listeners and who's watching, a little bit about the app, how it got started, and how you guys met it as well.
I'll let Brittany start off here. If
Okay.
She wants to.
Right.
She can talk about the origin, how we met, and we'll go over what we've been up to.
Yeah. So, we started this little passion project a couple of years ago. We were ready to launch it right before March Madness in 2020. That was pretty devastating because there was no March Madness. There was no SEC tournament for us who were in Kentucky. There were no sports. So we had to kind of rethink what we were doing. But, our idea was that fans do not have a real way to kind of voice their opinions and really connect with each other. They don't, have a way to say what they think is a highlight. If they're really frustrated by a play, they can get on Twitter, they can get on Facebook, but that's not really a good way to start a conversation. So we wanted to build a platform that was just for sports fans. Sports is big enough now that it needs its own platform, really just dedicated to fans. So we are super fans, and so we built the app for other super fans like us. So we actually have a live play-by-play So you can vote on each one of the plays. So if you loved that dunk, if you were excited about that touchdown, I really love kickers. You live and die by your kickers in football. And so I really like voting on that. So,
right.
it gives me a place to do that. And then each one of those plays, if you comment on it, it becomes its own thread. So, on Twitter, it's really hard to talk about an individual play. So if you just want to talk about a dunk, you just want to talk about a touchdown, you just want to talk about a missed kick or a punt return, whatever that is. So you can start that thread right there. All of our features are designed for fans and based around in-fan engagement during the game. So I hear your dog. So
I don't know what he's barking at.
He wants to get into the action
we
too.
launched this. So we tried to launch this right then, and so that was our first feature that we built out. And then when COVID hit, you could not even go and watch the game with your best friend. You couldn't sit next to somebody in your own house and watch the game. So, fans really couldn't connect with each other. So then our second feature were these live in-game chat rooms. So there is a chat room around every single game. So when Georgia plays Alabama today, there's a chat room for that. So during the football games, when the Saints play the Seahawks, there's a chat room for that too. So you can get in there, you can talk with other fans, that they're watching the same game as you, that they either like one team or another. It's a really fun way for fans to kind of connect with each other. So, we met a few years ago when we were starting out. It's just kind of this group of super fans who really had this idea that there wasn't anything that was built for them on the market. And so we kind of came together and we knew that we could do something different. And so we just kind of started from there. So we're really excited about it. And now that sports are back. It's been awesome.
Sports are back. Fans in the stands, we like full crowds and things like that. And like I said, I already knew the origin because we've talked a lot actually, and we're in the chat. And I haven't been able to get into, because you guys have to chat and you guys have the super fans that are going through each game and stuff like that. I've been wanting to do it, but I haven't been able to do it. But I'm always supporting, as always, and into the chat room, which you guys have as well. So I love what you guys are doing with the app, the interaction with the fans. I think that's one of the best things to do. Like for those that can't make the games, they can get into the app and, cheer for their team, talk a lot of trash, whatever it takes, to do it. It gets live in there. So I really enjoy that. But James, you wanted to add anything? Brittany killed it with the I love the pitch, and I know you guys are doing a lot of pitching, so we're gonna talk about that too.
I've been doing a lot of pitching. We're kind of honing our pitch now.
So James, want to add anything else to how the app works and things like that?
Brittany pretty much covered a lot of it. It's a really easy way for people to get in touch with each other. You can invite all your friends to the app. There's a social ecosystem to it. You can follow each other. You'll be notified of your friend, like what your friends are doing on there. Like if they're commenting on certain highlight plays that they think are important, it might pop up in your feed. You can kind of, if there's some big play, maybe you're not an Eagles fan, but your buddy is, but there's some crazy 60-yard touchdown pass that might pop up on your feed just because you're following your friends. Lets you kind of know what games people are in. You can jump in, do more chats. People talk about everything in there. There's fantasy. People talk about sports betting. 32 states here in the U.S. That's all legal. So we're seeing more and more of that stuff pop up. It's just been great. We have people that use the app, like even when they're actually at games, they talk about some of the environment stuff, some of the stuff you don't see on TV, some of the chants and stuff that, it does get pretty lively and crazy in there. One of the good things about the chats is we do have hosted chats every once in a while. So if, you're interested in sports podcasts, definitely come onto the app and check that out, because we rotate around a lot of different hosts, from sports podcasters, former players are on there. You get to talk with them. Sometimes they're in some of their favorite games, college basketball, that type of thing. So you get to meet different people. If you really like some of the hosts, the podcasters, they drop in links for some of their content that they do after those live games, whether they're reaction videos or anything like that. And it's a great way to discover more content even outside of our app if you're a big sports fan. And that's what we've really, really enjoyed building around this platform. Is we wanted sports fans an easy way to get content, an easy way to talk to each other, rather than relying on the hashtag system, which we think is just outdated. It doesn't really work anymore. And, it's just been a lot of fun. It's a passion project for us. We get to talk about sports every day. Who doesn't want that as a job? That's great.
Yes. And that's what we do. We love to do that. And, whether it's sports or whether it's any type of topics, sports related or anything like that, we love talking about that. I love interacting with other podcasts or fans and things like that, because there's so many passionate fans around the world. And but we actually have chat on here too. So I was going to give a couple shout outs here. We got Miss Mocha Bella.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So there we go. She says, good morning, James. Good morning, Brittany. She says,
hi, good morning.
Yes. And we have Ben and Irene Sutter. They have a show on the BS3 network as well. Suds Are Us podcast, which will be on later today. So check that out.
Awesome.
The Dub Nation, they said that, yes, the Dubs are doing their thing. They just won last night against the Phoenix Suns, ended their 18-game winning streak. So that was wonderful too. And those are the two best teams in the NBA too. I think Golden State Warriors and the Phoenix Suns. So, but let's talk about.
I love the Suns.
The West is going to be fun to watch this year.
Yes, it definitely is.
I mean, the Lake Show is still the Lake Show off the court, but the Suns and Warriors are killing it. It's been a lot of fun.
It's been a lot of fun just to see those two teams battle it out. Now they split the series so far. They play on Christmas too, so we'll get to see them again in about 3 weeks. So can't wait to see that. So, but let's talk about a little bit more about the app itself. As you said, you guys have been doing a lot of pitches lately and things like that. I've been seeing and you guys have been winning a lot too. So I could say that as well. So talk a little bit about the pitches. And Brittany, you did excellent job on that pitch. So I was like, you're hired. The app is hired. So talk a little about the pitch you guys have been doing lately.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't know, but there are actually competitions out there.
Yeah.
So if you have a great business idea, you can actually apply to these competitions where you can, win prize money to help start, funding your idea. And it's a really good way to get recognition. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of fun. But, we have to write a pitch, talk about the app. We have to get up there and present it in front of, hundreds of people sometimes. And it's been a really good experience. I don't always, just kind of talk in public all the time. So just getting over those kind of nerves and kind of doing that in front of people has been really awesome. And all of the people that we've met, there are a lot of really cool businesses, just, new small businesses starting all around the country. Especially with COVID, I think it's really given people that kind of boost where they're like, I want to do something different. And so we just getting to be a part of that community and getting to be a part of the sports world and seeing what's new and what's coming out has been really exciting. So I really love doing that. We've had a good time doing these pitches. So we just completed one competition and we got invited to be in the second part of that competition. So that'll start in January. So we're excited about that. And so we're just going to keep on going.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, good. Boot camp was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
That's good. And like you said, it's a competition. And at the end of the day, healthy competition is always good. And there's a lot of different, like you said, there's a lot of different apps, a lot of different competition. So how do you guys, when you guys get into these competitions, how do you separate yourselves from the other competitors that are out there?
You go ahead.
So when it comes to the competitions, you sign up for, you kind of have a basic idea of like what's going to happen. Most of them are pretty similar. You get up, you do a presentation, you do what is the problem, like how you're trying to solve it, what type of product you have. If you already do have your product, what type of traction you have, really basic business plan type stuff. Outside of that, you don't always know who you're pitching to, which is kind of an interesting thing for different people, because if, the people who are grading you, sometimes they're people who have been in the tech world and they understand more of like what you're talking about. It makes it a lot easier for us, especially on the tech side with the app and everything that we're doing, because it's just, it's a language they get. Sometimes you get judges who, they were in mortar business, building something, like retail chain store, something like that. And they care more about the business plan side of stuff. So it's, you hope for the best and you always the best presentation you can. And the biggest thing is always just take back any feedback you can, learn from it, go on, and just keep at it, because it doesn't matter what business you're in. You're gonna have 100 people that tell you no. The one person that tells you yes is the one you care about. And that's what people really need to keep in mind. So get your feedback, work with it, keep going, even if everybody tells you no. That's the best advice I can give to anybody out there that's trying to look towards it and get their start.
But we really think that we're doing something different on the app side. You know, if you get on Twitter, if you get on Discord, you have to search for what you want. If you get on ESPN, you have to search for what you want. And you get bombarded with notifications. You get, blasted in the face with a million different ads. It's so annoying. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to give people just the content that they wanted. So instead of them having, like James mentioned earlier, for them to know what hashtags or what game they necessarily want to find on there, all they need to know is the sports teams that they like. So they just choose their league, they choose the teams they want, and then we send everything to them. So they can check scores, the ones that they want. They can get notifications about the games coming on that are, that they want to see. So that's really what we think is a differentiator for us, and that really kind of helps us stand out in the market. And when we get a chance to kind of talk with people and explain what we're doing and see how excited that they get, because it's different. People have tried to do some different things around apps, but there really isn't anything where fans get to say what they care about. If you're a small team, or if you're a team that doesn't win all the time, it's not like people are talking about you on Twitter. We love UK football in this state, and we've had a few really amazing years recently. But in previous years, we weren't always winning, but we cared about our team. We cared if they were losing, and we cared if they were winning. But it's not like we could get on Twitter and talk about that. It's not like, ESPN was showing highlights of us all the time, but our team still cared. So where was the place for those kind of fans, for fans with big teams, for fans that love small teams, little colleges? So we built this app for sports fans. So whatever your team is, if it's a tiny college for NCAA basketball, if it's, a football team that doesn't win all the time, like the Lions that aren't doing very well this year, there is a chat room for you, and you can voice your opinion. So you don't have to just sit there and cry when your team's losing, or cheer so that nobody can hear you. I have a lot of kids, so sometimes when things are going wrong with my team, I want to, be very explicit about it. But I don't want to just be screaming it. So I can just be texting it in there, and then my kids can't see it. So it's just really a fun way for people to get to talk about what they care about with sports, and for, they to get to decide without the league being able to tell them what they think is cool.
Yeah, we tell people all the time, playoff season's coming up. Save your TV, don't smash it. Fan rage in the app, chat it out. Don't put a hole through your TV.
Yes, you don't want to need a smash TV. You got, like you said.
Yeah, don't make your TV suffer because your team's losing. Get in the app and voice your opinion. It's a lot cheaper and easier. Trust me.
Yes. All you
free
need is
too, by the way. The app is free.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it is free. You don't have to pay to download it. It's completely free. We don't bother you with a bunch of ads. You don't have to click through a bunch of pop-ups or anything to get to the content you want. It's just about fans connecting with each other and, having fun with their teams. And like she was saying, the votable play-by-play, we actually think is one of the best features, because like she was saying, no one gets to voice their opinion about what a highlight is. ESPN picks everything. The top 10, it's always like touchdowns, a foot drag, something like that. But that doesn't mean that's what everybody cares about. I love fourth quarter, third down stops. That's like the biggest thing for me. When you see a sack in that fourth quarter and you're like, boom, game. That's one of the biggest plays for me. It's not even because anybody scores, but that's just me. So like Brittany was saying, she loves kicks. This year's been crazy for kicks anyway. Like Monday Night Football, crazy overtime games. The Ravens have already had 3 win by field goals, record long field goal for the Ravens, whatever it was, 71 yards or 71 yards. Absolutely nuts. But yeah, people talk about that stuff, and it doesn't always make the ESPN top 10, which we think is a shame. So
yeah, I think and you guys both bring up interesting points. Like sometimes the biggest plays are not scoring plays. They're like I said, there's a sack, or there's a steal in basketball or something like that. Those are the biggest plays that make turn.
There's a Derrick Henry stiff arm.
Derrick arm. Yeah. He's going ballistic and just running people over and everything. They're going beast mode on someone. Those are the plays right there that turns the games around and things like that, or a game-winning interception, something like that. So you're right. So I'm glad. I'm glad to be part of that. But part of the app. As well.
Derrick Henry is one of my bold predictions for the last half this year. If the Titans can keep in the race for playoffs, because they're third right now, Derrick Henry possibly come back week 14. He could come back and still have over 1,000 yards rushing, be second leading rusher for the NFL, and have missed half a season.
Right. That's
Absolutely
ridiculous.
crazy.
That's
Crazy
crazy.
stats.
It's crazy.
It's crazy because he was such on a dominant pace before he got injured.
So
And
Taylor's number one, just passed him 2 weeks ago.
And that's ridiculous. He's played every game.
Yeah.
You know? Because I have him on my fantasy team, Jonathan Taylor. So he's been
Yeah, I mean, in the last 3 games, he's averaged like over like 120 yards rushing a game, and he just passed him 2 weeks ago. It's crazy.
It's crazy. And Derrick Henry's missed 4 games so far. So it's like
he's been out since like week 6.
6, yeah. So 6 games.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something crazy. So yeah.
Or sorry, week 8. It was week 8.
Week 8.
He was out week 8.
4 games, 4 or 5 games now. So shout out to BS3 himself and Sutter. He said he's going to check out the app. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, jump in and check it out. And like I said, I'm an Eagles fan. As you guys know, we're having not such a good year, been very inconsistent. So I get in the app and just start blasting the Eagles and everything too, because I get a little crazy when the team when they lost to the Giants last week. It was ridiculous. So, but
that was a rough game. Yeah,
it was a rough game to watch. Yeah, and I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, oh my goodness, what is going on with these guys? They should have beat the Giants, but that's the way the season's been. So no, I can't expect anything else. They got the Jets this week, so hopefully they can get back on track. But I'm not even guaranteeing a win there. This is how bad we played. You know, so
yeah. I mean, we have a podcast host who's a Jets host, and he's always like, "I don't even know why I try." And we have another host who's a Broncos host, and he was like, "I don't know if I can with this team this year." He was like, "This is just not going well. Bridgewater is just not getting it done. It's been rough for a lot of fans. Have really had a
lot of teams. This season's been rough.
A lot of struggles.
Not a dominant team, you know, this season. I guess you could say the Cardinals just, you know, are 9-2. And they've won games without Kyler Murray being healthy. Yeah. So
they've won games without Kyler Murray being healthy, without Watt being there. Yeah, I mean, like they got, you know, all these acquisitions, crazy good offense, crazy good defense, and then people get hurt and they're still finding ways to win, which is great for them. That division just in general is, you know, it's Rams, Arizona, like I think they're all going to be over 500. It's just a crazy competitive division. But that's New England's, the Patriots run as of late. I don't think anybody saw that one coming, which,
that's a good one.
It brings up the whole conversation is like, well, was Belichick the reason or was Tom Brady the reason?
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I think Belichick took that pretty personally. It was like, well, I got a system that works.
I just got to find the right quarterback to do it. Getting Cam was an experiment they tried to use, and it worked a little until Cam ended up getting COVID last year, and he was never the same. But that's just he just didn't fit their system. Now, Cam himself even said at one point in an interview, he was like, the system is really intricate and in depth, and he said it took him like weeks to even feel some kind of confidence in himself in the system. He said that on an interview. So I don't, it is what it is. It's not built for every quarterback. And they found the right combination here in the last couple of weeks. It's surprised a lot of people. Yeah, it surprised a lot of people. You're right. Definitely. So let's get into some college football. I know you guys are both big fans of college football, and it's championship week. Jay's got the hat on. So love to see that. And always the arguments over the last 5 plus years has been who's going to make the Final Four, who's going to be the top 4 teams in the country. Looks like Georgia's, like we were saying before we started, Georgia's
dominating.
Yeah, they're dominating on both sides of the ball, historic defensively dominant. And now you have Michigan, Alabama, Cincinnati as we stand today, but they all play today. So they gotta all take care of business. So Brittany, put you on the spot right now. Who do you feel is going to be the top 4?
I think that, I haven't watched as much football outside of the SEC as I usually do. I've been really just sucked in by NFL this year. Okay. But Georgia is killing it, and I think that they're going to beat Alabama. I think it's going to be a really good game. Nick Saban knows how to win games. So, no matter how bad they're playing, especially in these big games when he's won a couple of games or had tough games previously, I think it makes him want to come back. And this is going to be a big game between them and Georgia. But they did not play very well against Auburn. That was a crazy game. And they I thought they were going to lose that game for a while. I just wasn't even watching it. I was like, Alabama's out. Auburn's taking it, not worried about it. And then I was like, there they are, Alabama doing Alabama. But I have seen Georgia play, and they're scary. They're scary good, and I think that they're probably going to win it all. I really do. I really think that Cincinnati has played really well, and they've been fun to watch too. So I hope that they win. But those are really my two teams that I think are going to go farther than anybody else.
I agree. I think Georgia, this is the year. If this is not the year they beat Alabama, when will that be? That seems like they have the ingredients and
they have all the
pedigree
pieces this year.
And the pieces, the pieces to take it all. And they, like I said, they've been dominant, especially on defense. So I can see them beating Alabama. So the question remains: if Alabama gets the second loss, they'll be 11-2. If they lose today, are they still going to get in? So, will the committee say, well, SEC, they usually put 2 SEC teams in, but will they make it? I don't think they should, because they haven't played, even though they're 11-1, they haven't really been the dominant Alabama team that we've seen in the past. But James, who do you think will be the Final Four when it's all said and done?
So, like we were talking about before, I think we're all in agreement. Georgia's a lock, whether they win or lose. Yeah. Outside of that, it comes down to a lot of who wins today. There are like really 7 teams in the talk for those 3 spots. If Michigan wins today, they're in, hands down. If Cincinnati wins, there is possibly a conversation about if they're in or out in that last 4, depending on who else wins. If Oklahoma State beats, who is it, Baylor?
Baylor, yeah.
Pretty sure. And if they beat Baylor, they're definitely in the talks to be in that 4 spot. They've been holding teams to less than like 150 yards the last 3 games on that defense. So they have actually been better than Georgia's defense the last 3 games. Now, it doesn't mean that they're still playing all the same people, but that is definitely in the conversation. If they beat Baylor in a decisive manner, I think that they're definitely in the 4. Cincinnati, if they win, I want them to be in. They're an undefeated team. Yeah. Along with Georgia, they have a great quarterback. They have a great system. They've already beat Notre Dame. I don't know why people even say Notre Dame has a shot. They're out, in my opinion.
I think so.
Yeah, they're done.
Yeah, so I think you definitely have Georgia, Michigan. I'd like to see Cincinnati in there. I think Oklahoma State gets in.
Oklahoma State. So yeah, so I guess the only scenario Alabama.
I think Alabama. If Alabama loses enough today, they're out.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I think so too.
And then there's been talk that if Alabama gets in, even if they lose to Georgia, it has to be a real close game, like another 4 or 5 overtime game. But if they get blown out, I think they're completely out. And I agree. I think it is Oklahoma State. I think they should definitely get in if they take care of business and win. Cincinnati beats Houston today, and Michigan takes care of business and beats Iowa. So I think that would be the Final Four as well. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. And I was just going to say Ohio State. If that Oklahoma State is really, really close, maybe you can make the argument that maybe they should be talked into that 4 spot based on their strength of schedule. They did, they lost to Michigan by a lot, but just like everyone talks about, the SEC should have 2 teams in there. Ohio State's not out of that conversation unless Oklahoma State blows out Baylor.
Right. And then Oklahoma State, they beat Baylor earlier this year, 24-14 in October. So, they like I said, they got a dominant defense too. So they're knocking on the door. But if Alabama wins and Cincinnati wins and Michigan wins, then I think it's still the same 4. Georgia just will drop.
I would agree. If Alabama wins, they're in that top 4. Georgia's in there, Michigan's in there, and I think Cincinnati should get the shot.
Yeah, I agree. I think Cincinnati, and people are talking about Cincinnati, their schedule hasn't been great, but they still are undefeated, and so give them a shot.
I think I had some of their stats pulled up. So their biggest stat for me is they're number 8 defense overall in total yards allowed. in the country.
Hmm.
That's not a bad stat considering who else you're talking about in that top 4 with Georgia and everybody else. So.
Yeah. Right. So the like I said, they're good statistically. They're just a good team, and they just beat every team that was in front of them. I mean, you can't ask for anything else but that. So, and they're undefeated. So that's always a big thing. If you're going to make the Final Four, the top 4 undefeated teams usually get in, no matter what their schedule is and everything else. They took care of business, and they're playing a ranked Houston team. I think they should get in if they win.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, to me, it's crazy. You have a lot of analysts and everybody is like, well, I think Notre Dame's going to get the shot. And I was like, Cincinnati beat them. Don't even talk about Notre Dame. So if you're gonna say Cincinnati's on the cusp, but Notre Dame's being talked about and maybe sliding into that 4, they're out. Cincinnati should be in 4 then. It doesn't matter. Right.
Exactly. Yep. I mean, head to head, that they usually talk about that. So they've already beat Notre Dame. So at Notre Dame, if they're their own fault, they're not even they're not even playing a championship game because they're an independent team. So
Notre Dame has played 2 top 10 teams, which one was Cincinnati, and that's who they lost to. And then outside of that, I think they played like a top 25. Yeah, they played like one other top 25. So outside of everybody else we're talking about in those top 4, they haven't played as many top 25 teams. But on the other side of that, obviously, that's why everyone's talking about them sliding into 4, because Cincinnati, the only really top team they've played is Notre Dame.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be interesting. I can't wait to watch.
It's going to be a good day of football no matter what.
No matter what, yes. Championship weekend. And then you got the NFL. I want to transition a little bit to the NFL. We were just talking a little bit about that. The NFL, as we were saying, there's really no dominant team. There's a lot of good teams, on both sides, especially the NFC, especially at the top. You got Arizona, Tampa Bay, Green Bay, Dallas. Yeah. Pays for me to say that, but Dallas, the Rams, and a lot of these teams have struggled. They've lost some games they shouldn't and everything too. But Brittany, I'll go to you first. Who do you think at this moment is the best teams in the end? We'll start with the NFC first.
I don't know. So I've seen a lot, I think it's kind of shifting. There for a while, you would definitely say 100% that it was the Arizona Cardinals. It was just not even a question. But there have been some teams that have started to play some really, hard games that they've won. The Patriots have kind of started to come out and kind of catch their stride too. The Bengals are actually that's my team. They're playing so well this year. They just dominated the Steelers, which was really fun to watch. There are a lot of really new young quarterbacks that are playing really well. The Ravens have won some really crazy games. It pains me to say it about Lamar Jackson because he used to play for Louisville. But, I mean, can't hate on him too much. I mean, he's fantastic. And he's won some really difficult games for them. I mean, obviously the Packers, they're always, there are a lot of teams that are always kind of playing well. So I don't know. I don't know. There are a lot of teams where it's kind of shifting a little bit, and all of the games have been super exciting. There have been a lot of low-scoring games, though, a lot of defensive games, where there hasn't been a lot of offense, but a lot, where they've won on crazy kicks, which I always, of course, like I've said, get really excited about.
Love the kickers, yes.
Yes. Well, I mean, there have been some time. I mean, you live and die by your kickers. They get a lot of crap because if they, don't kick well, they lose, and they're kind of the unsung heroes. You don't always notice, but those points that they get you matter. And sometimes you just win off a field goal. So I like watching that kinds of stuff. And I just really think that I don't know. It's hard to pick right now. There are a lot of good teams. I haven't even watched as much college football this year because I've watched so much NFL football and I've loved it. The Lions, for me, I don't know. They're of course, they're doing bad. The Lions, the Browns aren't doing very well. Those are some of the teams where they're just kind of, I don't know. I don't care about them. But I think the Cardinals are still playing well. But I think it's, I hate to say that. Sorry, podcasters, if you're out there, still support you guys. But, those aren't my teams. So.
Right. No, it's all good because, I mean, you're right. It's been a lot of different scenarios where teams like the Buffalo Bills, they've lost some games where you thought they were like the favorites. Kansas City Chiefs started very slow And now they're starting to seem like they're picking it up, and they're winning games very ugly, just like the Baltimore Ravens, winning games really, really ugly in a way, as you said.
Yeah.
And we talk about the kickers, and the kicking has been very scrutinized this year because there's been a lot of kickers that have missed potential game winners and double doinks and things like that. So it's been just a crazy year for the NFL. But James, who you like as some of the so far today, some of the favorite in both conferences? Like you said, we talked about you got the Ravens and the AFC, the Titans. There's the New England Patriots. Look, they're in first place right now, but them and Buffalo play. They got to play twice within the next couple of weeks. So, but who do you like in both conferences?
I think the Cardinals will pull it out for NFC. They got a lot of talent. They do have to play. All right. So at the very beginning of the season, I would have said Rams all the way. They pulled up. They got Stafford. They got Ramsey. Then they got Von Miller. They pulled out the bank account to try to make this a Super Bowl team. And so it's this year, or it's kind of this year or bust. Maybe you can talk about next year. At the beginning of the season, I would have been all in on them. San Francisco. Then they got Watt. Everybody else. There were injuries there. They've gotten through all of that. So I still think Arizona probably pulls off the NFC. That doesn't mean that in the playoffs something else doesn't happen, because we all know playoff football becomes something completely different.
Yes.
You can get guys healthy, everything else. So like you're trying to get into that run, especially if you win, you get your bye. Big difference. The Ravens, they had, like you said, it's been ugly. The top four in there, I just don't know. I mean, the Ravens could end up being first in AFC. The Titans, Derrick Henry comes back, that changes up their entire offense. They had their losing streak after he lost because they just really didn't know how else to align their offensive line and get some stuff done. Get a couple of their receivers, get some coverage down on slant routes. Some other stuff was going on, but their offense seems to have pulled back around. Bengals are starting to look a lot better with Burrow and his buddy from LSU.
Jamar
Chase. Yeah. They're starting to look really hot as a pair. And then everybody's going to talk about the Chiefs again, but I don't think I think the Chiefs could land into that third spot there, but they got a lot of stuff to figure out rather than just their offense.
Yeah.
So
right. And then
I will say the run up into playoffs, if you're an NFL fan, this is a good year. You're going to see a lot of football games, a lot of interesting matchups. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's so wide open. And, talking about the Chiefs, the way they've been winning, which has been interesting. We're so used to them being this high-flying offense with Patrick Mahomes and with all the weapons they have, Tyreek Hill and Kelsey but defensively, they were playing so bad in the beginning of the year. Now they're starting to win with the defense because of the defense, and then the offense is struggling. So it's only a matter of time for both of those sides click. I feel like they're still a scary team because they haven't played real well offensively. Except there's a couple games where Mahomes has looked like Mahomes, but it's only a matter of time. And they got good coaching. I think, and a lot of things too with this season. I think you have great coaching. I think that has a lot to do with it too. Andy Reid, I mean, he's been through it. He's been through it all, and I think the Chiefs can turn that around. So, you look at something like that. A lot of good. There's so many good coaches and just good players. You said Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers. No matter how you feel about him, what he's done off the field and everything too, he's still a hell of a quarterback. Still a good.
He is, and their kicker Crosby, he was one of the ones where he is usually just on his kids
money,
every time.
Right? Exactly.
He's money, exactly. Just look away, he's going to make it. But he missed a kick to a game in Dallas and they won. He's missed a couple of big ones and he's also made a couple of big ones. So he's one of my favorite kickers, even though I don't really like the Packers that much. I really am excited to see the Titans continue to play. I hope that Derrick Henry comes back. It was crazy to see him get hurt because I think everybody was just like, this man is just kind of invincible. He'll be running and he'll have 5 or 6 guys and he's just pulling them. And then when he got hurt, and then he's still crushing all the records. up until a couple of weeks ago. So I'm
Yep.
excited, and I think that they should get rid of Ben Roethlisberger. I think he's old. I think he's out. I think he's done for. Every time I see him on there,
he hasn't
old
looked
Ben,
good
they
at
need
all.
to.
Big Ben has not looked good. Yeah.
He's looking real old, and I don't want the Steelers to win any, so maybe just keep him around a couple of years, really tank that franchise. But
yeah, he's definitely done. he's
definitely done for.
Yeah, I agree, totally agree. But yeah, it's such an up and down season. But as you said, it's getting down to the nitty gritty. I'm looking forward to it, and I play a lot of fantasy football too, so I'm definitely looking down the stretch to see. Hopefully I can win some money and get that and everything too. So, but let everyone.
Everybody talks about their fantasy players in the chats for Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football. It's crazy.
Out about
to your point, there's with NFL, depth of team matters just as much as your starters. Everybody gets hurt at some point. Everybody's out for a couple of weeks. There's injuries come back. To that point, like the Cowboys game, whatever it was the other night, last night or Thursday night. Pollard had a great game, and everyone would have thought, Ezekiel, it's back in. They shut down those front four, shut down the pocket there, and they made him force to run to the outside. Pollard got in there, had some great plays, great yardage. I was not super happy with it. Me and Brittany joked. For that game, I pulled up like a whole bunch of different stats, and I was like, I'm just gonna see like what type of crazy ticket I can make. So I put a 14 single game parlay, and I only missed 3 of them. I only needed Prescott to get 40 more yards, 1 rush, and Zeke to get a touchdown. So 87,000 to 1 ticket. That was the only thing I needed. They didn't pull it out. The first couple of drives, I was sitting there and I was like, Dak's not going to make that 250 mark. Dang it.
Right. And then that was the game that, I know a lot of Cowboy fans, and even on our network, there's a lot of Cowboy fans. So I get to hear it all the time. And it's interesting that they have all those, that they didn't look good offensively, but, Taysom Hill threw 3 picks, I believe. So
yes.
In that, so
yeah, he had 3 or 4. I mean, Cowboys defense, they broke down that pocket. They touched him on that throw 3 times. Honestly, there's a big part where everyone's like, I can't believe it was only 3 interceptions. Diggs had an amazing game, and everybody loves seeing a lineman pick run it in. That was awesome. Everybody loves to see the big guys score. That was great. But yeah, Cowboys defense ended up saving the day for them that game, I think, because I mean, Hill still got probably 100 yards rushing, 180 yards throwing. I mean, Kamara was out. That made a big difference on their offense, and I don't think they knew that he wasn't going to play probably until like 24 hours before. I'm pretty sure he was practicing the day before. So, kudos to the Saints for keeping it close, though. That was I thought they were going to get blown out by a little bit more than what ended up happening.
The way it started.
The way it started.
Yeah, definitely. So, but the dynamic duo of Rave on Sports, I really appreciate you guys coming on to the show.
Thank you so much for having us, Courtney.
Always. I love the sports talk. Love what you guys are doing. So let everyone know where they can follow the app and follow you guys individually on social media. Brittany, I'll start with you first.
Okay, so we're at Rave on Sports. You can follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn if you're a business professional. And then my personal account is at Lyric and Love on Instagram, and you can follow me there too. But the app is free on Android and iOS, and the links are in our bio, and we would love for you to check it out. We hope that you love it. Again, we are super fans. So we really thought about other fans when we built this, and we hope that we built it just for you guys. And we're really excited for everybody to check it out.
Definitely follow Brittany, follow all her work, all the content, and James, everyone that can follow you as well.
Yeah, like she was saying, if you're a sports fan, you want to support us, download the app. That's Raveon, RAVEON. Just one word. Click it, type it into your Play stores, app stores. You can find it easily. Download it. You can follow us at everything she was saying. Follow me. My Instagram's at JMClark_. And we repost everything we do with business. We put some personal stuff on there. some fun stuff. If you like dogs, my German Shepherd's on there a lot. You probably heard him in the beginning of the show if you were on. But yeah, we just have a great time. We love having sports fans, connect with us, talk with us. That was the entire point of the app. We love talking all types of sports. We have, NCAA football, NCAA basketball is on the app. NFL is on there. We're going to be hopefully bringing back NBA pretty soon. We had some issues on that side, so we took a little bit of a break, but we're working on getting it back up for everybody. So if you want to support us, support a new sports platform, small business. If you're from Kentucky, basically anywhere, we cover everybody. Division I and pros, we got you.
Definitely. So yes, definitely follow them, follow the app, follow all the things they got going on. I really appreciate it.
And we're gonna do March Madness next, Courtney.
Okay, definitely.
We gotta do another bracket.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll
So,
definitely do a bracket. And,
if you're a podcaster, influencer, you love talking about sports, reach out to us. Like we were saying, we have those host options for everybody. So we love pushing out other people's contents around all the live games. We all, business to business stuff. People go on each other's podcasts. Courtney knows all about this. And we have a good time with March Madness. We have a bracket just for all of our podcasters, and we get pretty competitive about it. I think, Brittany, you won by 1 point last year. I'm still mad.
Yeah, I did. Bragging rights for this year.
She crushed it in the end.
Yes. So again, if you're a podcaster, reach out to us. We're looking for new podcasters to host on these new chat rooms. So send us a message and let us know if you want to be a part of the Rave On team.
Absolutely. So hit them up on Instagram, on the app, and Facebook, Twitter, all social media platforms. So again, thank you guys for coming on to the show. Appreciate it. Enjoy the holidays, and I got talk to you guys real soon.
All right. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Courtney. Always a great time, man.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Have a good one. Thanks, guys.
You too.
You too.
Bye.
Take it easy.
Bye. All right, that was James Clark and Brittany Harris there. Brittany Harris there on the, from the podcast as well for Rave On Sports. So we are going to get my next guest. She's been waiting for a little bit, been wanting to get her on the show for a while. So I am super excited.
Hey, Courtney.
Have Gladys Tyler. We talk a lot, during football season, fantasy season, on your show and things like that. So it's only right that I get you on the show. So Gladys L. Tyler, she talks fantasy football, host of the 2 Point Conversion podcast on Mondays, going for two live. She writes fantasy football articles. She's plugged in. When it comes to fantasy football, she is plugged in. And I enjoy just listening to her and her content. So I'm a fan. So thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks for asking me. I was super happy when you asked me. Like, what?
I've been wanting to do this, and that's like, okay, I gotta have the right time. I know, like I said, you're busy, you do a lot of stuff, do a lot of things, and you got your your show, you write, you do a lot of different things. So I said, okay, let me just reach out and see when we can do a show together. And here it is. So here we are. So again, thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
No worries, man. No worries.
Yeah,
how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I can't complain. Holidays are here and ready for this season and the holiday season. Like I said, I'm done with my Christmas shopping just about. So I can kind of sit back and let all the other people have their crazy madness going on for the holidays. Yeah. So, but how are you? How are you doing? How's the family and how are you enjoying the holidays so far?
Doing good. Today is championship week, which is basically the only time I actually watch college football, unless there's an upset going on. So I'm kind of excited about that. The bar, a block up from me, is a Georgia bar. So they've already started gathering for the game. It's like ridiculous out there. The dogs are sleeping because I fed them CBD. So everything is good right now. I haven't done my holiday shopping. I haven't even started. I haven't even thought about it, which is really weird because it is December. But
right, you still got some time though. I mean, I usually I start around this time now, but my wife was like, "We're starting early. We're gonna start like the week of Thanksgiving. We're gonna just we're gonna get these gifts." I said, "Okay, you're leading this away. You're leading so I was, just get whatever. I already know. So she was on Amazon or wherever and just getting things, sending things. So I'm like, she's out. We're completely done. Just about like, cool. I'm good for.
Is your family there, or do you send packages out a lot?
We usually send packages. I'm in Philly, so
okay.
Most of my family's in upstate New York. So we do visit. We go every year, but we want to get things out because a lot of people are in different areas. Like some are in North Carolina, some are in Pennsylvania, and then so we just send them out so they can have them already.
Where in Philly are you?
I am in. I just moved, so I moved to West Philly. So I was living in South Philly.
Before I lived in Denver, I lived in Philly.
Okay.
Like Mount Vernon. Well, I lived downtown because I worked at the Hard Rock. So
okay.
Work. Yeah. But yeah.
So you were in the Center City area. Yeah.
Yeah, I was in Center City area.
Okay. Yeah.
Barrio, actually, it sounds like glamorous. I was in the Barrio, Center City area. I was, yeah.
Okay.
The high rise.
Yeah, I lived in South Philly for 8 years, and then we just moved to West Philly. So, but we still, we get around West Philly, South Philly, everywhere. Philly, Philly's such a big city. So you can't cover a lot of. It's too much to do, too much going on every weekend,
all the time.
Yeah. So, but like I said, I'm glad to get you on. Like I said, it's been in the making, been in the works. So I definitely. So let everyone know a little bit about yourself, a little background, how you got into first foremost fantasy football, sports in general. Did you play sports growing up? All that good stuff.
Yeah. So I played sports growing up. I was on a competitive softball team.
Okay.
I played. I guess they call it now like roving teams. At the time, it was just you. I lived in Kentucky, and you played softball pretty much all year round. The only 2 times I got hurt was in Owensboro, Kentucky, both times. But so I played softball, went to college, ran a little track, and then I hurt my knee. I tore my ACL, MCL.
Ugh.
Yeah, it was stupid. It was actually, so I started at Penn State. And Mr. Tyler got sick, so I moved back to Kentucky and went to U of L, finished out at U of L, and I was supposed to be on the tryout for the track team. And at the time, I was playing competitive softball, and I tore my ACL and MCLs, and I was supposed to go to the team doctor, but it was football season, so they were booked. So I went to a private guy, and he was like, "Oh, you're going to be fine," and I wasn't. When he went in, he was like, "Oh yeah, you're not fine. It's like it looks like a mop head in there." And I'm like, I'm really done with this. So I never really got reconstruction or anything. But my family has always been really big into sports. My parents are both from Pittsburgh, so we're huge Steeler fans.
Okay.
Was military. It didn't matter where we were. Doesn't matter where we went. Germany, France. It didn't matter. Black and gold was always represented by the Tyler family. So huge Steeler fan. Really. Sadly, a Steeler fan right now, but still a Steeler fan.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? I've always liked writing, and it's so around 2010, I moved to Denver, Colorado. I live in Denver now. And I was working a second job at this hotel, a night shift, and these guys were like, "Hey, they knew I was a Steeler fan, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to play in our fantasy league?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. This sounds great." And they were like, "It's an IDP league." And I'm like, "Oh, no problem." Didn't know what IDP meant. Didn't know. I'm like, looked it up and I'm like, "Oh shit." So I have to defense and offensive players. Like, this is going to be crazy. And this was before Bleacher Report got to be what it is now. So I have distraction issues. So I was like, the only way I'm going to learn this is if I start writing. And so I applied to write for Bleacher Report about the Steelers, and they accepted it, and then that's how they both combined. So I started playing fantasy football, and started writing at the same time. And then when the season was over, I just stopped writing for Bleacher. I was like, the season's done. There's nothing to do. And then I found that there was a lot to do in off season, and so I didn't go back to Bleacher. I just went to these other offshoots. And apparently I wrote with Scott Fish because he said something about it. I'm not sure which publication I did with him, but yeah, I've been since 2010. I've been just like writing and playing fantasy football. Although I don't play Dynasty, although I'm in 2 Dynasty leagues this year, I suck at it. I'm really, really. I know the Dynasty thing is like we were talking on it was on the Sunday morning podcast, and they were being really nice to me, and they're like, "Oh yeah, she drafted for future," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's what happened.
That's what I did."
Exactly, that's what I was thinking about, the future. I'm like,
right.
But yeah, so I'm really, really bad at Dynasty. So don't ever ask me Dynasty questions.
No, it's just like no Dynasty question. It's funny because I never played Dynasty as long as I played fantasy football.
Right.
I've been fantasy football for a long time. Like I played since, oh goodness, me and Jeff Lambert talks about this from Going for Two, as you know, and I know he started like I think 97, 98, maybe something like that. And I started like 99, 2000, something like that. My cousin, he was playing fantasy sports at one point. He was playing fantasy basketball. And I always wanted to get into it, but I was like, well, how do I do this? How do I get into it? So he was explaining to me. It was like exciting. Like I was always about stats, and I was always about, watching the games for all these years. And I was like, well, dang, this is fun. This sounds like fun. And back then you couldn't get, the only stats you could get back then was from the newspaper or watching ESPN Sports Center or something like that. So you had to wait till the next day to get the newspaper. So that's how I got involved. But I've never played Dynasty. I knew I always wanted to, but I never played it. I just always played just regular fantasy sports, drafts and things like that, DraftKings and all that now. So, but never played Dynasty. I don't know why.
Well, to me, Dynasty, and I know this is probably the purists are like, oh my God, just don't stop. Just stop talking. But I like the redraft. I like every year getting a new team. Dynasty to me is like real football, where I have to stick with people that I might not want. Yep. And I'm like, what? And then plus all the rookies that you have to like research, and you have to know the guys coming out.
Yep.
I'm like, okay. So I was in like Kyle's Dynasty, which is the one they're being really nice to me about. All these guys are like, they just know every stat about every college player, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah.
right.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Pat Freeman because he went to Penn State and he plays for the Steelers now. And they're like, yeah, good drafting. What are you doing? Like, I'm drafting people. Leave me alone. Yeah.
Yes, I'm just drafting. Yes, leave me alone. I'm doing my research.
Exactly.
This is what I want. So leave me alone.
But I mean, this season it's like whoever has people standing is probably going to win because people are falling like flies. And although it's not working for me, but I have people standing, but I'm still not winning, but it's okay. It's okay because it's fun. I keep telling myself it's fun.
It's fun, right? And if you're not having fun, then it's like, okay, I'm
having fun. I'm having so much. I just actually like researching. I like my major in college was policy analysis, which was statistical variances, which I had to remind myself like last year, you're supposed to know about statistical variances. So you should be doing a lot better in like DraftKings and like DFS because you should know what's going on. But I just like researching. I like finding out about different players and how their trends are going and how their stats are going. But, I that's why I think I write for so many different people because I can do different kinds of things. And, I don't have to do just start sit. I don't have to do just red zone risers and fallers. I can do a waiver wire, or I can do the defense, or I can do IDP, which I'm sorry, fake pigskin. I've like fallen behind on that. But yeah, so I just love football, NFL. I kind of get in college, but
I totally get it because maybe that's why I knew something we had a connection because I like the research and too. I got involved. I used to write. I wrote for a couple blogs myself about now 10 years ago, and I don't do a lot of writing now, but I still get newspapers. I still like to do research. So yeah, I'm an old soul, I guess you could say. But I love that stuff. And then, I get into the research and analysis, player profiles, things like that. I love all that stuff, the statistics, and and things like that. And as you said, sometimes you do good. You would think like people like us that do like a lot of research, and we would do better at at picking our drafting lines and things like that.
But no, yeah, you would think I'd be like really good at it, and like I'm not. I'm not. I look at the guy who wins. I always look at whatever DraftKings I'm playing. I always look at the end the guy who's winning. And I'm like, how did he know that? How did he know that Leonard Fournette was going to score 4 touchdowns against this team? And I'm like, probably statistics and variances and trends. Something you should be looking at. And something that. And the thing is, you get so bogged down with research that you're like, oh, what do I look at now?
So much, yeah.
What am I going to concentrate on? So yeah,
yes, it's too much. And my wife gets on me. She gets on me like about this too. Like she's known me for a long time now, so she knows that when I start to get into something, especially if I'm researching for something, okay, like March Madness, we'll take that. So March Madness, I'll start getting all these things, and I keep saying every year, I'm gonna make it simple. I'm just gonna I'm gonna look at one website and look at trends and things like that. But by then I got 10 websites open. I got all these papers filled out, and I got all these printed out, and I'm check marking. I'm like, well, no, I'm changing my teams. I'm scratching it off. And I'm like, okay, I've done it again. Like I'm giving myself a headache, and there's not enough time. It's not enough time. It's not enough time to do all this research. When football season starts and I get into the draft, I buy a couple magazines. And by then they're outdated by the time drafts come out. So, and then I'm looking at websites, I'm looking at things, and I'm like, there's just too much. Let me just narrow it down. But I can't. I guess our brains just doesn't work that way.
You can't narrow it down because, and I know what you mean. Like you go to one stat and you're like, oh, this is telling me to go to another stat and to look at another website, and you just have to keep going until you're like, maybe I should stop.
Yeah. I should. Let me stop. I only get a couple hours. Let me just stop.
Stop for a second.
Yes. So when you guys are doing, because you do the Sunday morning show, which I really enjoy, and you say you do the Monday show. So when you do the Sunday show, I'm always listening in. I'm asking questions, and it's not always the same question, but it's the team I have. It's all about the starting. Who should I start? Kyler Murray, Derek Carr, or who's this? Because Murray's out. He's questionable. He's this. You got Derek Carr. I remember I asked that question before, and you were like, well, Derek Carr's playing. Kyler Murray, he wasn't ruled out yet at that time. I think 2 weeks ago. He wasn't ruled out yet. I'm like, I'm overanalyzing this. I should just play Derek Carr. Let me not even touch Kyler Murray until he's fully healthy. Even this week, I'm going to ask you this again. Derek Carr or Kyler Murray, he's still questionable, but how much is he going to be Kyler Murray? But Derek Carr's sitting right there with a good matchup.
Excellent matchup.
I just start Derek Carr and leave it be.
Yeah, Derek Carr is actually my for the Sunday show we do like a love him or leave him. Derek Carr is my love him for this week. I just think the matchup is too good. And I doing the research, going through stats, there was one site that said sit Carr because Darren Waller's not going to be playing probably. But Foster Moreau, when he took up for Darren Waller last time, it was almost seamless. Like I didn't understand that logic. So Derek Carr, I think, is in a smash. Well, I mean, Tom Brady is probably in the smash spot, but Derek Carr is probably in the second smash spot. And I have a hard time trusting Tom Brady when they're not in Tampa playing. So yeah, so I would Derek Carr. Kyler Murray, I don't even know if he's going to play because I read something where Kingsbury said, well, in the position that we're in, we can afford to be more cautious.
Right.
Which to me means I'm going to sit him.
He's not healthy.
Count. Right. Yeah. So Kyler Murray, I don't know.
I think what they're going to do with the Rams or the Cardinals, I think they're going to wait till we got some divisional games coming up.
Yeah,
that's when we're going to need Kyler Murray. Like I said, they're 9-2. They're in a good spot with the Rams struggling the way they've done. So they're in a really good spot. So they can, and 49ers are coming up too, but and the Seahawks are down at the bottom. But the Rams or the Cardinals, they're in a really good spot. So they can actually sit Kyler Murray again if they wanted to. So yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I think it's going to be Derek Carr. He said he's in a very good smash spot to really, and he dominated the Cowboys last week on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, like over 300 yards. I mean, and it was and I mean, Washington football team is good. I mean, they performed well without Chase Young, but they're still giving up the most fantasy points to quarterbacks. They've allowed like 26 touchdowns, passing touchdowns. I don't see Derek Carr falling on his face.
I don't either.
Yeah.
Even if he just get 1 or 2 touchdowns, he's probably gonna get 300 plus yards.
Yeah.
He's gonna.
You got Hunter Renfrow. You got Deshaun Jackson. You got Moreau. I don't see a problem.
I do. Yeah. I'm gonna stick with Carr then. So I got some more questions, but how just one more thing before we get into some start sits and some of your favorite plays. How did you link up with Jeff Lambert and going for 2?
This is really weird, but the COVID. So I bartend. So both the bars I worked in were shut down almost here in Denver almost immediately, like in March, like right before St. Patrick's Day or that week. And so I had lots of time on my hands because, I couldn't work. Well, I was actually working at Lowe's like in the morning on the outdoor garden, but it was like 3 hours. So I just started looking at different sites that were asking for writers. And I think I applied to like every site that wanted a writer last year because I'm like, I have nothing but time. So I can do all kinds of research. And Jeff was one of the ones that wrote back like the quickest, and Jeff is really, I mean, he does so much that, yeah. And I was like, I actually hadn't read any of the stuff on Going for 2 sites before then, but I'm like, and I looked at the site and I'm like, this is amazing because they cover more than football. And so, I would love to work for you, sir. I just applied to them and like 3 or 4 other sites and got picked up, was lucky enough to get picked up. And like I said, COVID, I mean, I'm probably like the most antisocial bartender anyone knows. So COVID wasn't really that bad for me because I had the dogs and I had writing and I'm like, we're good.
You're like, you're good, right? Yes.
I have to make excuses not to go out with people now. It's COVID. It's like we're in lockdown. So that's how I hooked up with Jeff and them on Going for 2. And then the podcast, like I never really thought of doing podcasts. And he came up one time and we're on like Discord and we're on Twitter and I can't keep up because every time I go on, there's like 150 messages and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. So he will send me a DM and he's like, I need to talk to you about something. Do you want to do this podcast? And I'm like, sure. I would love to. Not even knowing what I'm doing, but yeah. So Jeff is very generous with his time and with his network. So I was lucky, very lucky to be.
Yeah, he's a good guy, really good guy. He's got good people, good network, and it's interesting because I don't remember when I hooked up with Jeff either. He's been on the show a lot of times. I've been on even a couple of his shows as well, podcast, and we got the chat, the group chat, and everything too. But it was I wrote a couple articles for him. I think when he has one of like the Super Bowl, he does like a Super Bowl thing where you can do your predictions. I think he did the NBA finals. So when I was doing the writing, I was doing some things for him too. So, but very talented writers over there too. You guys are Going42.com is a really good site, really good network as well. So I'm glad to be.
So how did you hook up with him? I'm sorry. How did you hook up with Jeff?
I think it was just through. Just when I was writing for another site, he reached out and said, "Hey, do you want to write a couple articles for us?" And I was like, "Sure." Nice. I never even heard of Going for 2. And then he was talking about fantasy sports. I was like, "Oh, I'm in. I'm definitely in." So I'm definitely in. I don't remember when that was. It's like 2014, 2015, somewhere around there. That's when I was writing back then. So that's how we got hooked up, and then. Like I said, we just kind of connected with just being on each other's shows, and I have him on the show when I need some fantasy advice too, or anything like that, or when fantasy season starts, fantasy football starts. So yeah, that's how we connected and stay connected. And like I said, I love the network. I love the website. So
it is a good website, and for people who like you said, it's like one of those websites that's really good and really comprehensive that doesn't get the notoriety that it should.
Right.
You know what I mean? It doesn't and it should. And I think it's starting to change that. But if you need like DFS advice, if you need like prop bet advice, if you need start sit advice on redraft or dynasty or whatever, Going for Two is a comprehensive site. I mean, there are some really good. Garrison, who does the Sunday show with me, is a DFS like maven. Like last week, I just learned he doesn't play cash games because that's like beneath him. So he only plays tournament games, and it must be profitable because he continues to do it. And then both Eric and Evan do prop bets that are like I never heard of, and I started doing them, and I'm like, oh, this is sweet because I can play, like I can put $1 in and still play. I'm good. Right. So and the Monday show, the doc like goes over every injury. I mean, he just. Jeff's network just covers about anything that you could want to know about. It's really, really comprehensive, and I'm surprised that it doesn't get like the notoriety of some other sites out there.
Right, and he pushes it too. Like you said, he's active on social media like constantly. Like, this guy pushes like so much content. And with the team that he has, they push so much content to, and he said it's very comprehensive. It's, so if everybody that don't, goingfor2.com is the website. Check it out. Follow on Twitter. For sure. Follow on Facebook. They got content everywhere. As you said, they got a little bit of everything. DFS, start sit, all these, everything that you want for
Canadian football.
Yeah. Not even just fantasy sports. They do a lot of different content.
It's really weird. Yeah,
I love it. I love that site. So, all right, just got a few more for you before I let you go. Just wanted to get into some of these start sits or some of your favorite plays. Who's some of your favorite plays at the quarterback position? I know we talked about Derek Carr, Tom Brady. Anybody else that's this week that's a must play?
As a must play, I like Kirk Cousins against that in Detroit. Without Dalvin Cook, I mean, Alexander Madison is an able replacement, but I still think that he's going to have to throw the ball down the field. And Cousins is quietly good this year. Like his interception to touchdown ratio is really good.
Yeah.
And they somehow manage to always have to be in games, no matter who they play, late. So, he's going to have to pass it. Thielen is still... Everyone's waiting for that touchdown regression that hasn't happened yet.
Hasn't happened. Nope.
Yeah. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, it's going to be this week. It's going to be a touchdown regression. And it hasn't happened. So Thielen, Justin Jefferson, I mean, they're loaded. Kirk Cousins I like. Who I don't like, Roethlisberger, which hurts me to the core. But he hasn't had more than 16 fantasy points in one game the whole year. With that wide receiving core that he has, that's ridiculous.
Right.
That is
and the running game. And the solid running game. Yes.
Yeah. And it's a divisional game, so anything can happen. I know against the Ravens, anything can happen, but Roethlisberger hasn't shown anyone that he should have come back this year. I mean, I don't know the pay cut he took, but he shouldn't be out there. I don't think.
This is his last year.
Thank God.
It has to be. It has to be because you said
Mr. Goff doesn't inspire that much trust.
No, not at all. Not at all. And the thing is, like, and you said, you're a Steelers fan, diehard. You would have thought, like, okay, maybe they should have had something set up. Got a quarterback maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, just in case. Ben Roethlisberger.
Just in case. Because, I mean, Roethlisberger's always hurt. Like, he's he's that guy that's, I hurt my arm. I don't know if I can play. Okay, I can play. I'm going to come in and save the game. But Tomlin is so much smarter than that. You know what I mean? I don't know what happened, where it fell through the cracks, but that they don't have an able backup is just ridiculous. Right. It's ridiculous. It makes me call.
Now they're seeing, they said, the decline in Roethlisberger No real strong backup, no backup plan yet. And then it's going to be a rebuild. It's going to be a full rebuild, unfortunately. So I get it because I'm an Eagles fan, so I totally get it. We're in that rebuild. They say rebuild. They say it's not a rebuild. It's a rebuild. It's a rebuild. It's a rebuild. You're evaluating Jalen Hurts to see if he's the guy moving forward. So it's a rebuild. It's a full rebuild.
How is his ankle? Do you know?
He said he's going to play. And the last I saw, he said he's playing. I'm worried though because he's such that's his game. He's a running quarterback. He moves around. He's a mobile quarterback. So I'm worried. I'm not playing him in any of my DFS lineups. I know some people are saying that he still should be good against the Jets, but I don't know what the game plan is going to be. The Eagles each and every week, it's a different game plan. They run the football sometimes. Last week they thought, we're going to make Jalen Hurts. We're going to just let him see if he can pass against this Giants defense. And it didn't look good at all. So go back running the football. I think just go back running the football. I think it's worked so far. But his ankle, I guess he's questionable, but I think he's going to play. So we'll definitely see. But I agree with you on Kirk Cousins. I think he's on one of my main fantasy teams. I have Thielen. I picked up Madison this week too. So I'm putting him in. Thielen's already in. So I'm leaving it at that. So
I play them all. I think that game and I think the Washington football game against the Raiders are going to be two games that go over their predicted over-under.
Okay. So
because I think they're just going to be shootouts.
Yeah.
I don't know why I think that because Jared Goff really isn't a shootout kind of guy. But now that he has Josh Reynolds, who's like one of my favorite plays this week.
Yes, me too.
I know, right?
Yes,
I'm like,
at that price on DraftKings? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Stack everybody? Yeah, I'll take it.
Right, and then if Detroit gets down, which they could get down early, quickly,
good job.
They could get down early. It's going to force Jared Goff through the football. So there you go. It's like, okay. Or if it's competitive, it could be the same thing. You just never know.
Right, and then no DeAndre Swift, right?
Yeah, no DeAndre Swift.
No DeAndre Swift. And I think, I could be wrong on this, but I'm almost positive that Minnesota is really good against the tight ends. So that's going to mute what TJ Hawkinson can do. So Reynolds, I actually like Amon-Ra St. Brown too.
Mm-hmm.
I played him in a couple of DFS lineups. I liked him since his last year in college. That whole family is just ridiculous. But I think that he might have a good game.
There's such good. There are good values in some certain positions. So let's go to the running back position. We talked about Madison. We know JT is going to be popping on, but he's the man. Like I said, funny thing is I got him in my draft. I got him in the second round. I had the first
in
pick.
The second round.
Yeah. I had first pick. I picked Christian McCaffrey first. So Jonathan Taylor was coming back around the snake draft. I was like, JT there? Okay, why not?
And you're doing like the happy dance.
Yes. Even though CMC's out for the year, I still got Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, you still have Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, so I'm good. I'm 8-4 right now in first place, so I'm doing really well.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't even know that. I like, you know what? So quietly having a really good year, and it's not even quietly, but because Jonathan Taylor's doing like 4 touchdowns a game, and Leonard Fournette is doing 4 touchdowns a game.
Right.
We're getting about Joe Mixon, who is having a good year. He's had like 2 touchdowns in like I think his last 3 games, and this week he goes against the Chargers, who pretty much just let you run. They just just go. We'll stop the pass. Just go.
Open season. Here you go. Just run through
You just keep running, Joe.
Right.
So I think Joe Mixon's in a smash spot this week. I actually think Leonard Fournette is in a spot where he's going to be targeted. Like I think that he's going to score high, but I don't think it's going to be on rushing. I think that him and Gronk again will monopolize targets, and Brady will try to show that, that he's the GOAT. And so he will throw it to them multiple times, because I just found out that Fournette is actually in like the top 15 of red zone targets for receptions.
Wow.
I'm like, that team, Brady's got like 90 attempts in the red zone. I mean, he's just like, I got Mike Evans here. I got Chris Godwin here. I got Gronk there. I got Leonard Fournette, which Jacksonville, yeah, there you go.
They have no chance.
I know. I mean, you're going to let Leonard Fournette go? Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
And now playing Atlanta, who, I'm sorry, they're just not good. Their defense just isn't going to be able to stop them.
No, and Brady threw 5 touchdowns the last time I think they played. 4 or 5 touchdowns the last time they played. So
yeah, I don't understand what some teams are doing. Like I don't understand because shouldn't Atlanta be a lot better?
They should.
Be a lot better.
Yes, I totally agree. They definitely should be a lot better.
And Cordell Patterson, who I love, so I would play him. I don't care I don't care that Tampa has like the number 3 rushing defense. I would put him in because they use him in every which way. Yep. Like he's your running back, but he's going to score in targets. He's going to score in rushing yards. Yeah, I would play him. I wish I had him in my redraft, but I don't. So,
right. And you're talking about Leonard Fournette. The last 3 games, I'm looking at the stats here. He's been targeted in the receiving 8, 6, 9. That's just in the last 3 weeks. Which is you would never think of him. Never think of him as a being targeted like that as a receiving running back. But but he's getting 100 yards rushing here, 3 touchdowns here, 2 touchdowns here. So he's a definite player as well. I totally agree with you on that. Just off the volume, and that's what we always talk about in fantasy. If you get the volume, he doesn't have to attempt 15 rushing attempts. If he's getting those 8, 9 targets a game, that's more than enough, and Brady's going to look for him.
Yeah.
The talent.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
The riches of talent that Brady has at his disposal, and that's not even including Antonio Brown, who's now suspended. But even him, so you got him too. You have him too. So
I don't even know why you have a fake vaccine card. I don't even know how you do that.
Right. That's a whole nother thing. I was like, you're lying about it.
If it can be done wrong, Antonio Brown's going to find a way to do it.
He's going to find a way.
Which makes me wonder, like, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, when they're on the Steelers, were they this crazy and then Tomlin somehow kept them under wraps, or did they get crazy once they left?
That's a good point. That's a really good point. That's a really good point because you said Antonio Brown finds a way. He just finds a way to get wrong.
If it can be done wrong, Antonio Brown's going to find a way to do it. And he's going to find a way to get caught, which I don't mind people doing things wrong. I mind you getting caught because, I mean, that means you're just not doing it smart. So
yeah. So it's interesting that it's like, why did you lie about it? Just if you just say, okay, I'm not vaccinated, or it's just like the whole Aaron Rodgers thing. You say you're not vaccinated, you move on. You move on. Like it's
immunized.
I'm immunized. I'm surprised Antonio Brown didn't say that either. I'm immunized.
I don't think Antonio Brown's as smart as Aaron Rodgers, unfortunately. Or as savvy. Maybe not the word smart. Maybe he's not as savvy as Aaron Rodgers.
Right. Yes, he got caught. And the reason why Aaron Rodgers got caught because he ended up contracting COVID.
Yeah, because he contracted COVID. If he didn't contract COVID, no one would have known.
No one would have known. The Green Bay Packers would have just kept moving on. He would have broke protocol and just kept moving on. It's like you got caught. You got caught. But there's, like you said, the running back position. I like Eli Mitchell. You said Mixon, Jamal Williams. They're all going to be popular plays.
Antonio Gibson. McKissick's out with the concussion. He won't be playing. So that's just more volume for Gibson. I like him this week. I kind of like Javonte Williams. I think Melvin Gordon is a game day decision. There's something wrong with him. So they need to keep the ball away from Patrick Mahomes. And the only way to do that is keep it on the ground.
Yes. Just keep running.
Just keep running, baby.
Just keep running. Because the Chiefs' defense, as much as it has improved, they can still get shredded.
Yep.
Yeah. So
exactly.
Let's move on to the receivers now, and then we'll end with tight end. What's some of your top receivers? You got Cooper Kupp at the top. I talked about Jefferson. So who others? You
can't go wrong with Cooper Kupp. He's got 23 red zone targets. I like Van Jefferson too. Everyone thought that once Odell got there, Van Jefferson would go down. He's actually had 8 targets in the last 2 games. He's holding his own. I like Van Jefferson in that game. I think that McVay's going to have to find a way to prove that he's not lost his luster, so to speak. So I see Cooper Kupp and Van Jefferson. Odell Beckham has a hip injury, so he's doubtful. He has a really good matchup this week, but if he doesn't play, he doesn't play. I like Godwin. Godwin's getting like 21% of the red zone targets on that team. I like him this week. We talked about Reynolds. Love him this week so much. And Thielen, I don't see that touchdown regression. Until that touchdown regression happens, I'm going to keep playing him. Until I see it, until I actually see it, he's going to stay there. Because
Kirk Cousins loves when he gets in the red zone.
He loves him in the red zone.
Yeah, he goes right to Thielen. It's either a handoff or to Thielen. It's
Thielen, red zone, Thielen. Jefferson's going to get like 130 yards receiving, but Thielen's going to get the touchdown. So I'm all for the touchdowns.
Yes. I love every single one of those, and just to add maybe Jamar Chase, just in that matchup. But then,
do you like Jamar Chase or T. Higgins better in that game?
Ooh. Chase might get the yards, but then as we saw,
T. Higgins the targets.
Higgins is getting the target. So I really, that's a tough one. You can't go wrong with either one. You can actually stack both of those with Joe Burrow as well. So I really
Can you see like a Burrow, Mixon, Higgins, or Chase stack?
Chase stack, yeah.
I would not be mad at that at all.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And we have a chat. We have a comment. Thielen has been money. Yes, he has. Yes, Thielen. Yep, I got Thielen too. So yeah.
I wish I had Thielen. I don't.
Plug them in. Leave them in there. Plug them in and don't touch them at all.
Don't even think about it. Just keep them there. Unless it's a bye week.
Long as he gets one touchdown, we're good to go.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, all right, last position. I want to talk a little tight ends, which has been kind of up and down and everything too. But we talked about Foster Moreau. I think he's going to be the biggest play. Any other tight ends? I get George Kittle.
Kittle always Gronk.
Debo's out, so Kittle's going to get a lot of volume. So
yeah, you're going to play Gronk because he's been. I think it was like 57. Is this right? 57% his first week back, 89% offensive snaps last week. If he's on the field that much, he's looking for him. He's going to be looking for him. I mean,
5-6 targets at least.
Exactly, and I like Dallas Goedert too against the Jets, especially if your quarterback's hurt. If he's not going to run the ball, he's going to throw it short passes to Dallas, who hasn't really. I mean, he hasn't excelled as much as you thought he would once Ertz left.
Right.
But he's still on the field a lot, and as long as he has that opportunity, he's going to be there. Speaking of which, I like Ertz too against the Bears, although I don't like Komet against Cardinals. But I do like Ertz against the Bears, and I want to say Logan Thomas is probably going to be my sneaky smash play, although I don't think it's so sneaky because I think everyone's going to be playing him. But Logan Thomas in that game against the Raiders all day. Foster Moreau and Logan, I'd play both of those. I would play both of them in
DFS. Stack it. Yeah, why not? I mean, you could. I mean, I know it's very unheard of, but I've double stacked tight ends quite a bit sometimes, quite a bit. So I like both of those plays as well. And that's a sneaky game. Raiders and Washington football team is a sneaky could be a high-scoring, sneaky game. So
right, Tyler Hankin can just start passing. The Raiders going to have to keep up. I think the Raiders' defense is like 27th, and the Washington football team's like 30th. They're like the bottom two bottom defenses. They can't stop anyone. So I think that game's going to be up and down, up and down, up and down. And Logan Thomas, Foster Moreau, Hunter Renfrow, Antonio Gibson even. The only one that scares me is Terry McLaurin because he hasn't really been targeting him as much as I thought he would because he's so good, So Terry McLaurin is my only maybe not play. But, yeah, Logan Thomas as far as the other tight end. Tight ends.
Right.
Pat Freiermuth is in concussion protocol. So he's money if he's in, even against a good defense. He's got like 22% of the targets in the red zone for the Steelers. But I don't, that concussion thing kind of worries me because he wasn't out of it Thursday. So.
Right. And then we talk about the Raiders game, and Josh Jacobs, he's questionable with the ankle injury.
Yeah.
And he was limited, and now so you got Kenyon Drake, Peyton Barber. I mean, that name he's a candidate. He's active. It's like he can actually play. So it's like, so that game has potential. Like definitely big potential. So I'm excited. I listen to you guys' show, and I start putting my lineups in. Usually Sunday morning, I'll have like a basis of what I want to do Saturday night, and I listen to you guys' show. Then I start plugging in, like, okay, here's my stacks, here's my team. Okay, boom, my players.
How many? Not the dollar amount, but how many DFS do you play? Do you play like 100?
No, I don't play that many. No.
Oh, okay.
I know Gerson, he plays about 100, 150 lineups every week. Yeah. He said that. I was like, wow, that's a lot. That's like, I play about 10, 15, maybe. And usually I'll have like, say, 4 or 5 teams, and I'll put them in like 2 or 3 different leagues and things like that. So
when you do that, do you pick out like 3 games that you like the most or 2 games that you like the most and then play those guys?
Yeah, usually.
And then just add?
Yeah, yep. I usually will stack and then just add a couple players here and there from other games. So how about you? How many you usually play each week?
It just depends on how much money I have left in the deal list.
Yeah, true.
I play at least. It has to be an odd number. It's a weird thing that I have. I can't play an even number DFS.
Okay.
I don't know where that superstition came from. So I usually play like 7 or 11.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's usually the $3 one, and then I play the Millie Maker 1. I play one lineup in the Millie Maker, and then the rest are like cash games or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I usually do. Yeah, I'll play 1 Millie Maker, a $3 lineup, those dollar single entries. I'll play them. And somebody I play the 10-cent ones. The 10-cent.
I love the 10-cent ones.
Yeah,
Don Sandor, the 5-cent ones are my jam. The 5-cent ones I play every week. And I'm like, 20 cents? Yes.
Wait, 2 lines for 20 cents? Why not?
Yes. I'm a winner. Because it's only 5 cents I'm putting in. Yeah, but I don't.
Players, yep. I can do that. I love it. But yeah, they usually play about 10. Like I said, it depends on the money. If I only got like $10 left on my account, I'll play, I gotta play a couple lineups. I'll play maybe a $3 lineup, $5 lineup, and a $1 lineup, and just and then just say, okay.
Plus those free lineups that they like. Miller Lite usually always does one.
Kentucky, they do free one. Yep.
I'm like, always looking for the free lineups. Yes, I will play that.
Yes, definitely. So, Gladys, this has been so much fun.
It has been. Thank you so much.
I love this conversation. I love that we finally got to do this, and so let everyone know where they can actually follow you, follow your shows, follow you on social media, and all those good things.
Sure. So on Twitter, it's at Gladys L. Tyler. On the shows, we do a Sunday morning. It's 9:00 my time. I guess 11:00 Eastern time. Where we do your start sits, your DFS lineups, your prop bets for an hour, give you time to get your things in, get your lineups in, because Gerson has to get his 100 lineups in, so we have to quit an hour before. Monday, it's 5:00 my time, so 7:00 Eastern time. We do we have a doctor, TFS Doc, at TFS Doc. You can find him on Twitter. He tells you about all the injuries that happen and whether you should think about dropping the person or keeping them. And then we do the prop bets for the Monday night show. We're usually a little behind, so you have to keep reminding us to do the prop bets before the game starts, because by the game's on, we're like, oh yeah, he should have 12 yards. Oh wait, he's already got 12 yards. And then on Going for Two, I do a start sit column that comes out, I think, on Fridays or Saturdays. For the LFAB network, I do a waiver wire and a hot mess, which is a start sit, but it's only one position, who's hot in one position, who's not in one position. And for Rotoballer, I do a red zone risers and fallers that come out on Saturday. If I learn how to clone the articles.
Yes, right. It's just the time. It's all about the timing and the researching. You want to make sure it's good.
Yeah.
So before you put it out.
What? I'm like, you want me to publish it too? Good Lord. But Courtney, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
All right, I appreciate it.
Saturday morning? Oh, am I going to be awake?
Yeah. And the funny thing, I usually do this at noon, but then I say I got some things that I said, let me just push it a little, like a half hour earlier, just a little bit. And I said, but I'm glad that you guys came on. Like I said, I love this, and I'll be still listening. I'm listening, I'm watching all you guys' content, and best of luck. And
you're going to come in a 2-point conversion, aren't you? Like, you'll be on our show?
Usually, yeah, yep.
Okay, good. Because I'm gonna need people on the 2-point conversion, and I would love it if you would come on.
Oh, of course, yes, I definitely would do that.
Yay, thank you.
Come on.
Okay.
Of course. All right. Well, thanks again, and enjoy the weekend, and talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye.
All right. Really enjoyed this show today. Again, Gladys L. Tyler. Follow her on all social media platforms. Going for 2, going for 2.com, going for 2 live. So she writes fantasy articles. She has a couple podcasts. She does the podcast on Sunday morning, so you get your lineups ready. She does the podcast on Monday as well. So continue to follow the goingfor2.com website. Shout out to the entire Jeff Lambert entire network there, entire website. They're DFS, fantasy sports, just in general. So get your lineups ready. It's a good group of people. Glad to be a part of that as well. I want to thank James Clark and Brittany Harris also from earlier in the show for coming on to the show. They are from the Rave Sports app. So follow them, check that out. Interactive sports app where you can just jump in and do some trash talking with other podcasters and sports fans throughout the games. They're just an interactive live chat app as well. So Rave on Sports is the app. So check that out. I want to thank everybody that tuned in on Roku. Again, we are on Roku TV. Type in BS3 TV, search BS3 TV on Roku, on the Roku channel. That's our Roku channel on Roku TV. Download the app. If you have a Roku TV, you have Roku, the Roku channel, the Roku app. Download it as well, and you can get all of our content. BS3 Network, BS3 TV, BS3Network.com is where it's at. So thank you for all the support. Again, we got you covered each and every day on the BS3 Network. We got a couple shows today. And we're streaming. We have, like I said, we have a lot of different shows each and every day, from sports to spiritual talk, from politics to movie reviews, to social issues. Talk about race. Talk about a little bit of everything that you can, just everyday life in general, comedy. So just everyday life. So we got you covered. The network had you covered every day of shows. So continue to support the network. To support the network, BS3Network.com. You can follow all of our content there. Follow our content like that on Roku, on the BS3 TV Roku channel, YouTube, everywhere. Anywhere you can get Facebook, Facebook Live, everywhere you can get podcasts. We're also on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcast as well. So, but you can follow this show, The Real Deal with Courtney Harden, at Get The Real Deal on Twitter, also on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram, CJ Harden 79. If you want to be a guest, hit me up on social media. I'm always active on social media, so hit me up. We got the merchandise as well. Want to stand up and show you the shirt there, BS3 Network. So get your merchandise there. But again, follow me. I'm on all social media platforms. I'm on all podcast platforms. I drop a show a couple times a week. I have a lot of guests during the week on Zoom and IG Live. So if you want to be a guest, just continue to follow the shows. Continue to hit me up on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. All right, that's a wrap for the show. I want to, again, thank all my guests, thank all the listeners, thanks all the comments in the chat. Until next time, until next Saturday, continue to support. Thank you. Enjoy college football, enjoy NFL, enjoy the NBA sports weekend. Everyone stay safe, stay blessed. God bless. Peace.